Mr Chair. Ask any Aucklander what the local issues are and inevitably transport will be high up the list. Images of cars stuck in traffic are as identifiably in iconic Auckland as Rangitoto or the Sky Tower. I'm very glad, Mr Chair, to take the call tonight because I want to discuss how this bill relates to transport. I'm concerned because I believe this House is walking into a system that will encourage us to keep using the same ideas that got us into the mess that Auckland's in to get us out. The Green Party strongly opposes this bill, which takes away Aucklanders' democratic rights, takes away their access to more transparent and open decision-making, and will deliver worse transport options for Aucklanders. This bill, like the government's iconic Auckland transport folly, the 1.7 billion Puhoi to Wellsford holiday highway, is being rammed through like a 53-tonne juggernaut truck way too fast, is being pushed for purely ideological political reasons as opposed to genuine community demand and input, and will be for just a few, not the majority. This bill, will have a massive bearing on how people and freight get around our biggest city, and I fear, like the holiday highway, this big political gamble will deliver missed opportunities and worse public transport options. The major feature is the new Auckland Transport CCO. This will spend more than half the total rates take and will have considerable power and influence. I fear with too little transparency, too little accountability and not enough democratic involvement. It will be by far the most powerful transport agency in the country, and it will manage not just public transport services, walking, cycling, as regional councils do, but also improvements to local roads, footpaths, regional arterials, currently managed by local councils. Clearly Auckland needs an integrated transport approach, but this bill corporatises transport activities and removes the council's control and democratic decision-making. I acknowledge the Select Committee has improved some aspects of the unpopular CCO structure, but fails in numerous respects. The initial board will be chosen by the Minister of Transport rather than the current regional transport authorities. Regional transport local politicians. I mean, sure, the council, CCO, will be slightly more representative. I mean, the Auckland Council can fire directors from day one. The Auckland Council will appoint the chair, deputy chair of the board, but Stephen Joyce will be setting the initial direction, and we know how pro-roads and how pro-motorways, even uneconomic ones, he is. Transport is one of the biggest issues facing voters in Auckland, and this bill is taking away the democratic leadership needed on this crucial issue and giving it to Stephen Joyce's appointees. On transport, Auckland needs leadership, not more bureaucrats. One of the minor improvements in this bill is that the Transport CCO now has to take into account Auckland Council's statement of intent for transport and act in accordance with the wishes of the Auckland Council, but we should have just let the Auckland Council decide, like other councils do, what's appropriate for Auckland. An important question is how the CCO will interact with local boards. The risk is, of course, that local decision-making and local democracy will be emasculated and ignored by this bill. I find it hard to believe that the local boards will be able to influence the Transport CCO through a plan that gets published once every 3 years. This is a pretty weak tool. Lastly, and perhaps most importantly, this bill fails to link land use planning and transport planning together, setting Auckland up for failure. By taking away the Auckland Council's role for transport planning, even taking away their ability to choose the most appropriate structure for the region, this bill will see Auckland heading in different directions. The bill creates a siloed system in which the Auckland Council will have to work very hard to keep the CCOs together. This will be reinforced further by the physical distances recently announced that will see the integrated function split between the council downtown, the council's policy and planning team based in the North Shore, the infrastructure team in Mount Roskill, and our transport CCO based in Henderson. In short, Mr Chair, this bill doesn't deliver for Aucklanders, doesn't deliver for transport, and will see Aucklanders stuck on their congested motorways.